Okay, welcome everyone. It is 5:30 and we will go ahead and get started. I will call our regular June meeting to order. And first we'll take roll call. Please note that all directors are here in person. Do I have a volunteer to read the mission and vision statements?
I can.
Thanks, Fred.
At Decorah Community School District, we embrace student learning and well-being as our fundamental purpose. We will, in partnership with our students, families, community, make the world a better place. The mission of the Decorah Community School District is learning, thriving, creating our legacy. The vision of the Decorah Community School District is Decorah Community School District will be a collaborative, innovative learning center organization empowering students to embrace their personal strengths and create their future.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll need a roll call to move into closed session.
Motion in a second.
First I need a motion. Thank you, Darlene.
Yep.
I'll accept a motion to move into closed session to review and discuss records that are required or permitted by state or federal law to be kept confidential.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Or excuse me, roll call. I'll let you proceed with roll call, Darlene.
Ron?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Carol? Aye. Cindy?
Aye.
Okay. It is 5:31. We'll go into closed session.
Okay, and I do have to ask that, I know we have a lot of guests tonight, but I do have to ask that you leave the room.
We promise to be quick.
We'll do our best. And maybe I would recommend we include Mr. Hurst
Okay, welcome back. We will continue with old business. And the first item under old business is approval of today's agenda.
Make motion to approve the agenda.
You wanna modify the agenda?
I'll wait for-
Okay.
Awesome.
I do want to note that we do need to modify the agenda. Item T, or excuse me. The closed session as number 13. There was a miscommunication about that, so we're not ready to complete that, so I'd like us to consider tabling that and scheduling us a special meeting later in the month.
So I will move that we approve the agenda as modified by the deletion of number 13.
I'll second.
Hearing that motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, first tonight, our presentation is being presented. Oh, you-
Consent.
Number 7. Consent.
oh, excuse me, I jumped way ahead.
Very
A
excited.
little discombobulated tonight. So excited. Next on our agenda, we need to approve the consent items, including minutes from our May 12th and June 5th meetings, bills and personnel.
I'll note the need to personally abstain from general fund item number 36 and Pebble number 1 on the bills listings. So might be easy when it comes time for you to make the motion. Yeah, okay.
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of the two referenced items.
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions about that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, so
How do we need to do to approve those two items?
Aaron, why don't you go ahead and make a motion to approve those two items?
Well, you
I
can,
can't make the motion,
I can
but
make
I
the
can.
motion. I move that we approve on the bills listing, number 36 and couple number 1.
I'll second it.
Okay, hearing a motion in a second, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Abstain.
Abstain.
We did it. Okay, next is open forum and communication from the public. So if anyone, and this is separate from the presentation, if anyone is here and would like to make a public statement, please come forward and let us know. Okay. Moving on to item number 9, which is the presentation, the performance pavilion concept.
Great. Thank you. And I want to thank, I'm going to just stay seated here if that's okay.
That's
It's just
perfectly fine.
more like a conversation that way, right? I just want to thank Dr. Cronin and Cindy Goodner for allowing us to present this project tonight to the board. This idea has been percolating and growing for many years, and we really think that this is the best time and place to make this blossom into a reality for the Decorah schools, the students, and the community. I'll introduce myself for those in the room who may not know us, and for our recording. We are Jim and Liz Fritz, and we came to Decorah in 1986 and taught in the Decorah schools as band directors for 28 years. We retired in 2014 and 2016, respectively, and we have made Decorah our forever home. The next slide, please. So I will be as brief as possible, knowing that we have 10 minutes, but Jim and Jim is not speaking tonight because he just had a dental procedure. So Jim and I hope that this presentation will speak to you as loudly as our actions speak during these past 4 months of supporting the Decorah Schools Band Department. Our continued dedication to the students of Decorah is also reflected in this project. Next slide. Thank you. So why this project? Decorah Schools has always prided themselves on having high quality academics, athletics, and the arts. An outdoor performance facility does not exist in our community right now for student and adult artists. The Phelps Park gazebo, while a historical icon, is not appropriate for current use. It's not large enough, it has poor acoustics, and it's very inaccessible. So we've been working on this issue for many years, addressing this, serving on community committees and searching for a location for this project, discussing this for many, many years. Next slide. So why now? The new school opportunity allows a moment to reimagine this area and the school, to think about the advantages for students, the school, and the community. Next slide. So another answer to why now. In April of 2024, the district carried out a survey of the community, and one of the questions was, rank the list of proposed features that could be included with the construction of a new elementary school. The community survey results named an outdoor amphitheater as ranking second in priority. This is taken from the survey. Next slide. So what advantages are there to the school? Well, obviously a new performance space, but also a new outdoor classroom space. There'd be private funding, no school funding would be used. This would be an opportunity for sustainability with free solar power and additional enhancements for playground and green space. Next slide. Advantages to the community would include something really for everyone. This new green space would be an anchor near the school and the center of town, including adjacent playground spaces with room for different arts and activities. Next slide. So what do we need to make this happen? The first thing would be permission to build on school property, and then to access utilities. The project would be subservient to any school construction schedule, and the project would use all private funding. Next slide. So let's look at the site. This is a graphic of the existing site. After spending many years looking for a location, we think this is it. Jim actually discussed this site with the city years ago, but it never made it into any part of the plan. The placement and architecture of the pavilion complements this triangle site. And of course, there's flexibility on the exact placement, but it uses an underutilized space and enhances the new school location. Next slide. Let's look at the sustainability. The roof of the performance pavilion would be a waterproof solar array. We recently used this same product for a net zero project at the Good Shepherd Church here in Decorah. The solar array can produce approximately 36 kilowatts of solar energy, equaling up to $10,000 a year to the school. The restrooms could be conditioned by solar-powered heat pumps. It would be low-maintenance facility and include dark sky lighting. Next slide. So these next slides show conceptual renderings. These are possibilities. These are Jim's design ideas and conceptual possibilities. Next slide. So this is the performance pavilion. This is a basic look and design. Just a rendering, it's not exact. This view is looking from the grass playground. There would be no permanent seating. Next slide. This picture is minus the solar roof. The performance area would be similar to the size of the high school auditorium stage. And you can see how it fits into the triangle site area. Next slide. This is the look from above, but with the waterproof solar roof in place. Once again, 36 kilowatts of bifacial solar panels would be used. Next slide. These pictures show different possibilities for materials, such as thermowood, which is a treated weatherproof wood product, limestone, natural landscaping, and kinetic wind sculptures as an art installation. The focus will be on using quality materials for lasting construction and ease of maintenance, while also making considerations for a desirable acoustical space. Next slide. This view from the side shows the staircase on the right and the storage area in the wings. The stage front is at a code-compliant height, which is no greater than 30 inches to avoid a railing in front of the stage. Next slide. This view shows the ramped access to the stage on the left side, highlighting the ADA compliant features. Again, storage in a similar wing location. Next slide. This is the view from Claiborne Drive. It shows the back entry to the restroom and mechanicals location. In this view, you can see that the solar array floats above the structure on steel girders. Next slide. So part of how has to include funding. And we have mentioned before that no school money will be used for this project. All private donations would be processed through the Community Foundation of Northeast Iowa. And we feel there would be many avenues for grant possibilities pertaining to school playgrounds, public performance spaces, sustainability, and ADA compliance. Next slide. The fundraising goal for this project would be $600,000. And because Jim and I believe in investing in Decorah students and the local arts community, the first gift would be by Jim and myself. We feel that there are many Decorah Arts alumni and community members that would support this project. And as mentioned previously, we would pursue grants aggressively in addition to this fundraising. Next slide. So in closing, I want to thank you for listening. This has been a very long envisioned project, and it would be a gift from the community and alumni to future Decorah students. It would bring sustainability, creativity, and beauty to our school and town, and help realize a shared dream of providing an outdoor performance pavilion for students in the wider community. So thank you. And if you have questions, I know we have maybe a little time for that, as well as maybe later. So thank you.
So I just want to remind the board that as we move to new business, the first item is discussion of the pavilion. And if anyone has immediate questions now, you can ask. Otherwise, we can also ask questions of Ms. Primarily.
I'll try.
Okay,
Hopefully I
well,
won't drool.
I don't want to stress you.
No, that's fine.
I know you brought up the gazebo at Phelps Park. What other options have been explored in the past? What's been talked through before now? And what's the history on the project?
Well, there was, when the pocket park concept started to come around with the city, there was conversations about different locations, some of which are parking lots today, some of which are parts of the downtown, but would require removal of parking lots and so on. Primarily, the focus has been in the past of trying to bring it into the downtown area. So that is where most of the events that occur within the community now take place. So most of them were, there's a parking lot south of the Vesterheim, 2 blocks or so. That was an area that was potentially, there was some area around what's now the co-op that was talked about potentially. There was some talk about on the far east end of the downtown Water Street area. Those were just potentials, but this one was conversation a lot, and it was an area that everyone felt was unique in that it fit the space. It was unique in that it was centrally located, and it was unique in that the solar elements, the acoustical elements, and musicians don't want to face south or west, or any artist doesn't want to be on the stage. It's a toaster, and so it aligned properly.
As far as the size of the parcel that we have, and I'm sure architects that anybody that you may have discussed this with has some guidelines on how big of a parcel you need. Is this adequate for the purposes?
Well, I haven't seen the final plan as to how far into left field the building is now going to go. And so I can't really speak to that exactly until I have that kind of information. But as it sits right now, it would require obviously some of the left field space to really make the fan shape, which is what you're after. But it could also be adjusted around the corner, still with its back to the south, so that it shot more straight north rather than northeast. And that, I assume, would be more of a rectangular with a funny little rounded corner. And so there are options, even if things have moved over that far.
To piggyback onto that, would you be willing to have it be in consider a different location other than that really busy corner? That's the busiest corner in town right there. If there's not room there, would you consider it, let's say, between the building and the tennis courts?
It has to have the southern orientation, otherwise the roof system doesn't work. And so we would still need to be able to, a space is obviously primary, but also trying to think about patrons that may want to come and participate. There's so much parking along Claiborne there. There's so much parking across the street in the where the farmers market is at. That all was part of the reason as well. And they also need access for trailers, bringing in, even just the Decorah High School needs to be able to pull their trailer in, and it's kind of landlocked in between the tennis courts and the building. So that would be somewhat of a challenge.
Yeah, I think that this is a great concept, something that we've talked about for a long time. It'd be great to finally get something put together. The issue in my mind is going to be approval from the city. They have, expressed, opinions on what should be on that green space. There was a accidental drawing which showed a future parking lot there, which is not going to be, and it was a significant concern. So, I don't know if you've discussed it with the council yet, but that would be.
Not with the council. I've spoken with Travis Gitkin, and he's seen all these same drawings that you've seen this evening, and he has acknowledged them. Didn't really throw any red flags up at the time. So the space is not like it's the entire stage would be a classroom. So it's an extension of the school district as far as its usage, as far as how many actual square feet of grass you have to have to meet the need. But he also told me that there was some conversation about the changing of Claiborne, and actually there was going to be some additional movement to the west, which would actually increase the green space if Claiborne had some adjustment done to it.
Is your vision that people who were listening would bring their own chairs and they would sit on the grass?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we don't want to encumber anything. We don't want to make it hard to mow around. We don't want to make it something that kids can't play, throw a ball at. So it would just be grass. And that's very common. Very common.
I know sorry to interrupt, Jim. I know we're not quite to discussion of it, but thinking about something the city council said, but as well as some of the more recent drawings, I know we've been looking at a fence on that side as well, so that kids can't escape. Yeah, it's not quite the word you use, but well, it's not the ball can't roll in the street, and so a kid can't chase the ball and get it in the street and cars and etc. So just to say out loud, I think there's one additional element of some fencing that's going to exist, potentially running straight through the middle of what your drawings are showing right now. Not that it couldn't be done, but I think there is an additional physical element that's going to exist there.
And those, a fence, it could go to the curb virtually, and still preserve that space for a wider use. But again, I have not seen the latest drawing, so I really not very, I shouldn't speak.
Can this presentation be shared with us so that we can share it with our architect?
Yes, and Sean has it.
Oh, nice.
It's already been shared with us. Talk a little bit about your timeline. Our timeline is we're still working on diagrams. We go out to bid. We start moving dirt, and you'll see like what looks like deconstruction, but construction start in the spring. And that's about an 18-month build. So new elementary school ready for the fall of 27.
First off, we would need to do a fair amount of organizing just for the fundraising standpoint. And secondly, I would take my drawings to an architect so that there are legitimate architectural drawings that we can all agree are appropriate for this type of a build. So that'll take some time. I'm guessing probably it would, if we were to get the go ahead sometime this summer, it would be mid fall to early winter before that kind of an element would be, those two elements would be in place. Then we probably go through a year and a half of fundraising efforts. We do not want to be anywhere in the way of your project, other than the fact that if there's some synergy, you're moving dirt, you don't know what to do with it. Well, we might have a plan for it, that type of thing, rather than saying, well, we've got a crane and your crane, and we don't want to do that. So, and I would assume that we would be after you are done. We would be done after you are done. Now, whether it happens somewhat concurrently, that's dependent upon you. You will set the timeline.
And the utilities piece would be important for coordination.
Yeah.
That would be an obvious,
Just basically providing the umbilical so that there can be, the solar can go back to the school, and there can be water and sewer and so on and so forth. That needs to kind of occur early on in the drawings and the plan for the school, so that we don't have to go back and do a very expensive change order.
Any final questions before we move on to business?
I have one more. Just potential community, like what would the community use look like for the pavilion?
That would depend on the school. You would own it, you would run it, you would determine what's used and what's not used. I mean, there are so many potentials. I conduct the municipal band, which is now, we perform in the street. It's a lousy place to perform. And there is, you know, lawn chair night, which could have a much nicer place. There's Nordic Fest. There could be art in the park. There could be yoga. There could be new metal players doing something. That though would, you know, have to be coordinated very similarly to how gymnasiums are coordinated with their community organizations or any other facilities across the district. It would be a district-owned facility.
I think it'd definitely be a great thing for the community. Facilitating things that are already community strengths.
And I think that once you build it, they will come too.
I didn't play baseball.
It's that triangle shape.
Well, thank you so much for being here in person to present and thank you for listening and for answering questions. Okay, next we'll move on to new business, and the first item of discussion is the board discussion of the performance pavilion. Well, we did, but I would like to talk through with the board. I want to discuss having a community shared use space, as they mentioned, that, you know, this would be similar to gymnasiums and others being shared. Those would be outdoor restrooms that are under the school's responsibility to maintain. That would be, I appreciate the mention of yoga and lawn chair night. I know that lawn chair night is currently being held on the end of Washington Street near Impact. And I'm not sure that that has any interest in moving. I think that they've had a lot of success being close to a food and beverage type place. With this being on school grounds, alcohol would not be permitted. So that's something to consider. And I also wonder about, with community shared use space, in addition to maintaining restrooms and renting a facility, do we have the capacity to clean up after events and maintain that space?
Well, I think the natural option, not to speak for the city, obviously, but to me, this cries out for 2080, and Park and Rec is the managing entity for scheduling. Obviously, we're not going to want to have, you know, Darlene or Kathy taking phone calls about, hey, can I play out there? You know.
Well, we probably would schedule that through Christie or because we do schedule community events in our stuff. And the part about not wanting to give away the scheduling to Park and Rec is then we just have a calendar that says this is who's on the pavilion, and they've got approval from us, and then you don't have school staff saying, no, we're supposed to be on the pavilion, and then somebody saying, well, the community said. So I would strongly suggest this works out, that the school district take on the scheduling, just make sure we can know who's supposed to be there and not supposed to be there. But that would be a little bit more for somebody. So
what about, yeah, the maintenance? You know, who's going to clean the restrooms and make sure that things are shut off for the winter and turned on?
That would be a great thing for a 2080.
Yeah,
that part for 100% would. We'd either have to charge enough for events to pay our staff overtime to do it, or have a 2080 with the city. And we had that in place when it was the ball diamonds and they were cleaning them. So I assume it would be something like that. But
And insurance, liability insurance and that kind of thing too, that would be
that
our
would be,
responsibility.
well, I think you can put that in a 20E though, that the city would have to carry insurance for their events. So
I also wonder, Carol, I think it was you that mentioned that this is a very busy traffic intersection. I've shared this question with Liz and Jim directly, but I wonder where is best for this incredible proposed project. This is beautiful, and Decorah is an arts-filled community that this could absolutely enhance music through our K-12 schools, but also through Luther College, also through other community band orchestra. And I just question that intersection. I don't have positive feelings about that intersection from driving my car through it all the time. You know, is that where we want to invest this? I appreciate the donation or the consideration to donate solar back to the building. That's incredible, but I also know that our building, you know, will be able to build solar with help of investors or through the special loans to be able to have solar built into the actual project. Knowing that, I know that feedback that I've heard from the community, particularly from city council members, has been, this is such a big area, and now it's like all being taken up. But I do want to publicly say that we have community shared use tennis courts. We have the school project. We have separate playgrounds because we're adopting the preschool into the school building, which all takes up a big footprint. We also need to build a school while we hold school. And I'm wondering, do we know enough now? Is this gonna fit with everything else that is in it? And I had introduced Jim and Liz to our park and rec director by email, in addition to Travis, just to continue that conversation and have an open-minded approach to where is truly best for this. And I'm not sure this is it, but not to say that it couldn't work. I'm interested in the other board's opinions on this, but I just wonder.
I think we, in our planning stages of the building and the playgrounds, we're just getting to that point now where we're working on playgrounds. And I think our next step is to continue working on that and keep this in mind and work with our architect and see if there even is a possibility for room first. And, you know, to me, that's the next step before there's any kind of decision made. We just don't even know if it's a viable option for space.
Right, because, and Carol participates with Tim and myself in it, which is now weekly planning meetings with our contracted support through minor and emergent, and all capacity has gone toward the school as we move from the concept to the design development process, and the site plan details of the site plan are yet to come. But we certainly can talk about this and how that might look and fit, and then we might have more information on whether or not this is something we should seriously consider and discuss more, or continue to work with the city to find other options. And I know that in a recent email conversation with Travis, I know that he did say, you know, obviously there's huge projects happening right now with street maintenance and construction in that exact area, and he said we'll be able to revisit this idea in the fall. But Carol, I agree that maybe the next best step is to find out how this might fit.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I mean, I think space is gonna be the biggest question mark in my brain of how far out does that, who's the one that was crosshatched in the meeting?
The turf.
Thank you. How far, where's the turf end? Where does the hard surface end? Where does the green space actually end, and where does that land in that segment? I just don't have a mental image that I think we're already pressing kind of hard that way, but I could be wrong.
And the circle, then the bus circle that comes in from Isley to plays into all that.
Yeah.
We just don't, the outside of the building, the green space is just not drawn up yet, just that. We just don't know.
Would the west side location be an option?
It's residential, so it's not a very good option now, from that standpoint alone. Now, is it a big enough space? Probably not. And yeah, it's a school, so we could pump, but you know, there are mature trees near it. I mean, the solar element is probably not going to be viable. But the biggest issue is the residential.
Well, might be an argument that it improves property values.
There would not be parking.
Parking would be a huge issue.
Yeah.
I agree. I think I don't think we have enough information at this point, you know, maybe as we go through our final. Once we get through the building bidding process, then I assume we'll take the next step to the property, because like you said, you don't know, I don't even really know where things are gonna land yet. But I think it's just, we have to get through those processes and see what there is for space is kind of where I'm at. I think I said the presentation was amazing, and the drawing was very, very nice.
Okay, any final comments? There's no action that needs to be taken tonight. I feel like, is there anything that we haven't discussed that needs to be mentioned?
I just want to thank you for your generosity and getting this rolling, and the financial generosity too. I know that space that we had a big part of at the Shepherd Lutheran Church is just such a pleasant space to be under with that solar roof and the space underneath. So, I mean, it's a great concept.
Yeah, I hope it comes to pass somewhere. And sooner rather than later.
Me too.
To be continued. Thanks again for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, item B is to rescind an open enrollment request.
Well, I move that I recommend the termination of the open enrollment for Alex Middle.
Second.
Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Next, we need to move into an exempt session. And unfortunately, again, I'll have to ask everyone to leave. And we will open the door when.
Yeah,
Oh, we need
Yeah.
we need a motion. Excuse me,
Maybe.
yes.
let's include Curtis and probably Kathy, I suppose.
I'll make a motion that we move into exempt session, for bargaining strategy, discussions.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Welcome back. We'll move on to item D, approval of 2025-26 compensation amendments for classified staff.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 25-26 compensation amendments for classified staff as discussed.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item E, authorization of payment of end of year, year-end claims.
So this just gives the district to pay all the bills that are part of the 24-25 budget by the end of June. Because we won't have a board meeting, well, we may have a board meeting, but we may not approve any bills, but this would just allow us to pay bills before the July meeting.
I'll make a motion that we give authorization to make payment on year-end claims.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item F, set the 2025-26 bank deposit limits, and attached you'll find a list of all of the banks.
Any changes from last year?
No.
I make a motion to approve the depository.
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, approval of district legal counsel, which we use Allers and Cooney.
I move that we approve Allers and Cooney as our district legal counsel.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of newspaper of publication media, including Decorah newspapers and Enterprise Media as the newspaper publication media.
The only question I would raise is this change to Decorah leader. Is Decorah newspaper still proper, or do we need to? That's fine.
Yeah.
I think their website is still Decorah newspapers.
The website's Decorah Leader,
It
but
did- it
the
did change to
Facebook
Decorah
page
Leader.
is Decorah Newspaper.
Well, we could certainly add the word.
But Enterprise Media owns it all,
Maybe we just delete Decorah newspapers and call them. Well, no.
or you could say the
No.
Decorah Newspaper.
Decorah
Enterprise Media.
newspapers.
Because in the past, there was the Journal of Public Opinion, so there was two.
And the Poston.
Well, but that wasn't good.
Yeah.
I think get back into the
I
day.
think we should
I know it's wrong.
I would say the motion is to approve or authorize the district to use the Decorah leader and Enterprise Media.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item I is approval of the St. Benedict Food Service 28E agreement. So we have a working relationship with St. Benedict's Catholic School, and Decorah provides lunch,
Provides lunch and
delivers lunch.
delivers lunch, and this is the same agreement as last year, just with updated dates. And Chad looked it over and said it looked good.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 28E agreement with St. Benedict's for our food service.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is approval of the 2025-26 meal prices, substitute pay, and activity passes.
I'm gonna abstain from this vote because I do substitute in the district.
Is there any change to the substitute?
Substitute pay goes up $5 a day. And we traditionally paid substitute associates and food service $1 less than the rate of pay. So with the starting salary being $16.10, that would mean that substitute associates would, and substitute custodians and substitute food service would be at the $15.10 an hour.
So they only are going up a dime from last year.
And last year, the
Jump.
Last year was a good jump, yeah.
and the $15 was the state, we got the funds to support that as well.
Oh, okay.
So, but I mean, it certainly can be discussed, but we probably weren't gonna go up $15. That
It's
was,
helpful to have that salary history.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the 25-26 fee schedule and sub-salary history part 2.
I'll second.
Any further questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And I
Not
abstain.
So we have, Adam has the activity passes in there. Not 100% sure if you've seen those in the past. But probably we're talking about is, event, gate and raising the admission price, from $6 to $7 and from $4 to $5 for adults and students. That's, I don't go to lots of away games, but that's, I know what I've seen other folks charge, and of course, cost wise for us, we know our costs will go up next year. Or events, so, just having fewer of them and possibly fewer, fans traveling from visiting, teams, that's Adam's recommendation, and I agree with it. Probably, we did add in the language for the in-season coach that we negotiated. As a reminder, the in-season coaches do get, spouse and children passes for those events. And, I think those are the highlights. There's probably gonna be a little bit of more talk from Adam and I just about, online viewing options and how we pay for that, and, cause I know we've got a really nice, deal with that, but we need the activity fund to stay slightly positive.
Yeah, we will.
Senior citizen is what, age? Is it 62?
65.
I thought it was 65.
That's what it says on here, it's 65.
62.
Okay.
Those who changed it to 65.
Or we have to talk to Mr. Riley and find out, but they issue those passes at the high school now, so, if you know a senior citizen, they can,
Oh, they have to go and get a pass.
they have to go get a pass, yeah. So, but I was gonna tell a couple of my neighbors that.
Because there are a lot of grandpas and grandmas who come to these games who pay. I don't think they are aware that it's a senior citizen pass.
I don't have them. I mean, I know of quite a few that have them, but
And this is what I've taken tickets before. There are a lot of grandpas and grandmas who come and pay.
Well, I agree. I think that we need to consider this increase in cost just with the changes of not being in the conference.
I'll make a motion to approve our activity passes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, item K, approval of the 25-26 bread bids.
This is great.
This is pretty routine.
Yeah.
So the recommendation from Chad Elliott is pan of gold.
I'll make a motion to approve our red bids.
I'll second.
26. It's a tough one.
I'll second the motion.
No, I already did.
Oh.
Any other further
Yes,
discussion?
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item L, approval of the 25-26 milk bids. And the recommendation is Anderson Erickson.
Looks like they are our current supplier.
Have we had any issues with delivery timeliness or quality?
I'm not aware of it.
Remember there was one year, a few years back, where it was like, oh, we kept on getting all these crates of stale or spoiled milk.
I trust that Chad Elliott would
Yeah.
inform us of that or consider that in his recommendation.
I move we approve the Anderson Erickson milk bid.
I'll second.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item M is the first reading of the 100, 200, and 700 series in board policies.
Yeah, so these are just first readings. We can certainly have to, have bigger discussions. We don't necessarily have to have them tonight. Certainly have them other nights. We can have more than 2 readings too. There's a lot to cover. Just understanding that, I'm grabbing stuff from ISAB to replace it. Had a couple people say, oh, we're director districts, so we did make a couple adjustments over the weekend.
We're at large.
At large, excuse me, not director districts.
Right.
And one of the big things was ISCB had recommended changing like, 7 different policies in the 100s. And so even though we didn't have to do them all, I wanted to do them all just to kind of get a refresher, but we have to take out words like DEI, and there's a couple other words that were taken out of policies.
Have you, made those changes already, and are they, as we go through them, can we obviously see them? Are they?
They're suggested changes, yeah.
I have not looked through every single one of these.
And I think it is, like Tim said, this is the first reading. It is really important that the board read through these policies and understand what they say. And it's good for us to review these to catch details, and also for us to refer back to and reference as, you know, as we're emailed or asked questions from the community.
So I did get a chance, I
Mhm,
read them.
mhm.
I'm not seeing a lot of change in the 200s. I'm not seeing a lot of change in the 700s. The 100s where the changes seem like they're occurring. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, they're like and you're exactly right. Some of them don't change a lot. And so you're just kind of approving the same thing, that's already policy.
In reading through it, I think the goal would be, I'm speaking only the 100s. So I just want to say what I'm looking at. Speaking only to the 100s, it seems like there's a change we're trying to make to match state whatever now.
Political wins.
Thank you. I actually don't think we made those changes all the way through the 100s yet. So as you go down into pages 15 through 31, we're still using one of the things that I believe they're trying to take out. And I would ask the question, knowing what one of the changes is and not saying what it is out loud, but in reading, oh, I forget which paragraph it is. We've essentially eliminated the words gender identity. Could we eliminate the word identity to leave just the word gender? Knowing that the WHO, the World Health Organization, medical journals all refer to gender, non-sex, solely as the delineator, or is that going to fall in political headwinds?
I think that what Tim has done and how we've managed our board policy in the past is to take IASB's recommendation, and they have a legal team that reviews and maintains these documents. So historically, during my one term on the board so far, we've never delineated to anything different from what is recommended by IASB. And Ron, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, the 100s, I guess I can't say categorically, but generally, the 100s are things that are dictated to us. We don't get to think, we just get to
Formally
acknowledge what's we're being told to do. 200s are a little more flexible, but if it's a mandatory plan out, well, they don't really address them as mandatory.
They do, I don't put that in the policies. They'll say which ones are mandatory.
Yeah, because if it's
So-
mandatory, too bad, so sad.
Yeah,
My reference point would be that if you compare 101 to 104, we've eliminated it in 101, but not 104. So I think we have some more work to do if we're actually trying to clean all of the hundreds. But I'm gonna continue to make the art. There is a difference between the two.
Would it be possible to, I know that right now we did not, board members do not have edit access, but could we have permission to comment
Oh,
on this
sure,
document?
sure.
So that way, when we are reading through it, that, like, when you see discrepancies in language, you could put a comment there, Aaron, to say like, this is inconsistent, or.
Yeah, same thing happens with the new email swap where we're dropping the K12IA.us and now we have .school. That also substantively flows through the 100, or should, but isn't quite yet.
So, and I could take any comments you make. They're easy enough to email to ISAB and say, hey, refresh my memory. They got legal counsel
Yeah.
that goes with it, and just go,
Yep.
how do you feel about the word gender versus gender identity?
Yeah, the
That's
fact
easy.
that there's a mistake is not the least bit surprising, but it's a mistake dictated from above. So all you could maybe realistically just put sick after it. But
Yeah,
So we'll have a second reading. of these.
absolutely. We'll have a second reading, and folks can make comments, and any questions or comments you have, I'll get those checked out.
Is there a reason why sometimes there's a different
Font.
font?
Just, I haven't standardized it yet, and kind of did that on purpose, so you can kind of see where I cut and paste that.
So those are your cuts and pastes? and the-
Yeah, so there's a section on non-discrimination policy, so we won't discriminate based on race, gender, or race, sex, class, religious affiliated, etc. That's where one of the big changes comes in, and that funnels throughout the document, and so it's making sure that number 104, R, etc., all reflect. Whatever change we're making should be reflected in all of those as well. So.
Any other final comments on this first reading? And we do need a formal approval of the first reading, okay.
I'll make motion to approve the first reading of our board policies.
one second.
Any further comments or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is approval of the 2025-26 audit bid from Hacker Nelson. And this is
Similar to
concerning,
other years, so
this is concerning our next fiscal year, or, the time ending from June 30th, 25 through June 30th, 2027. So it's a 2-year agreement for auditing services, and Hacker Nelson has audited the school district for many years.
You.
So you'll see estimates for 300 hours of work per year of a time period.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 25-26 audit bid.
second,
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is approval of the 2025-26 master contract.
I'm gonna make a request for amendment. There's a change that hasn't been made yet, to change this to be the 25-20, the next year's contract. In one place it still says last year's contract dates. That's in page 19, duration. Shall be effective July 1st, 2024, and effective until June 30th, 2025. We should swap those dates forward.
Good catch.
Would it be B that or did you already just make it?
I just made it.
I was gonna
yeah.
say, it's like, why it says 25, 26?
happening in real time.
Yeah,
Other than changing the date, are there other changes from last year to this?
yeah, we just put in the language we agreed on and, because it's school conduct, we just share it with the association. So the, in article, I don't know what page it is, about page 7, sick leave, and so when the employee gets their maximum 165 sick days, they'll be given an additional personal day on their next contract. And what we mean by that is we'll create a bank like we do now with wellness day. And so we now created a bank for the 165. So if I have reached the end of the year and I'm have 160 sick days, I would earn 15 every year, but I can't earn 15. I only get 5 because I have it's a preset maximum. 165 is your maximum, but that will trigger the ability for me to use one of my personal illness as a additional personal type day, which we're going to call,
I call it sick personal.
we call it
Because
sick
it used
personal.
to be under the sick bucket.
Yes, and so there's wellness leave. If you have less than 2 sick days in a year, you earn a wellness day the next year. And when you use that the following year, it draws from your sick leave.
It comes from your sick totals, but it doesn't impact you on the ability to earn it the following
Yeah.
year.
And so that was just rewarding those employees that would get to 165 with a small thing. So that was it. And then if you go to page 9, I think, where we have the paid leaves of absence, we put in that Champions Day. And that's the wording that we agreed on. Employees will attend a high school state level competition that their dependent is participating in. If that dependent attends DCSD, limited to 1 day per school year for each dependent.
Where is that Champions Day?
It's not 9,
It's not 9.
It's not 9.
Well, the numbers are different on the page versus the number on the doc.
page 9 is 1 sentence.
Yeah.
And I did a search and find for
Oh,
champion.
I did for competition as well.
Well, that's where it should be.
That's where it is on my document. And I think we're all in the same document.
It's after which one, after what?
Right after military.
Mine goes, employees shall be granted a military leave of absence as required by law.
Yeah, I see that.
And
And
then
then
Next
there's
page,
something-
it's just
Just
to
Professional.
What do you hit, what if you hit return? Or
refresh.
I've never seen that before.
I just refreshed, it looks the same.
I didn't just put it in, so
I see it under editing, but I don't see it under suggestions. That's really.
if I hit the check button,
Yeah, then it will appear.
And it'll appear.
Yeah,
hey,
Oh. Bandit.
because we don't have edit access, so I think it.
okay.
Why? Start be that guy. If we add E, we gotta shift all the other letters down 1. Professionally becomes F, family illness becomes G, etc. Just
Oh,
When you guys negotiated, this was only high school, like if there was a state mock trial for middle school, then a parent can't, a parent of the student can't go. This is specifically high school?
it was specifically for high school.
I think the thought was middle schoolers don't go to a state tournament.
Competition.
But they do for mock trial every year,
What
and they
is mock
do,
trial?
they do for, what's the school day?
Hmm.
They do for, Lego League.
What is the history?
I mean, if
of
they make state, but typically they do, I mean, this feels like one of those things where.
well,
Let's
as-
just
as-
get implemented in the plays, I guess it's DEA
Yeah.
that maybe did
Yeah.
the negotiating for it, but
Yeah.
it feels like
Yeah, this was not
there's
ours.
gonna be fallback.
yeah, I guess I would say that this was negotiated, so this is the language we agreed on, and there's always next year.
Cause this was their proposal.
This was their, absolutely, yeah. So we'll still work on the formatting area, but we just gotta get, well, first of all, you can see Champions Day finally.
Yeah.
That was a victory, but I'll work on the formatting, and so just replacing the numbers, putting in the new salary schedule and putting in the new, Schedule B.
Yeah, and there's some new Schedule B positions added.
I'll move that we approve the 25-26 master contract.
And I will second.
Hearing a motion in a second, are there any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is approval of the, is item P, the 25-26 Schedule B contracts. And this has to do with the robust list of athletic and fine arts coaching and support positions. Both formal employees and volunteers. It's pretty inspiring to see that list of volunteer coaches and fine arts support.
And you'll notice that there are several white spaces that say open. We still have some work to do.
Question on line 52. Why is there a question mark after her name?
She didn't hire.
My guess is we're not sure if she's gonna come back,
Gotcha.
but I would have asked Mr. Riley, but he's at baseball tonight, I assume, softball. She's baseball, but softball.
Any other questions about Schedule B recommended contracts?
Only question we are, if I recall correctly from last year, we approved them for a certain part of the year, but we didn't approve them for one section of the year.
The summer because of.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, and there's many that,
If you get down to there, it says to approve in July or August board meeting.
Yeah, we don't want to approve the summer coaches just because their season isn't over. But everybody else, we want to approve their season's over. Their name on here means that Adam and Jake are recommending that they get issued a Schedule B contract, which we can do in earnest once they've been approved by the board.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Schedule B contracts for fall, winter, spring, and volunteer. Bless you. I'll just say it the other way around. I'll accept the summer coaching contracts.
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item Q, approval of partnership with the Winnebago County Fair Board. Attached, you'll find a letter. So this is an agreement that is drafted and shared with Decorah, Cherokee Valley, South Glen, and Postville school districts.
Yeah, I think this is the second time only that we've had this. It was newly created.
This is because our FFA is involved, or what?
Yeah, this is agreement for our FFA to participate with the fair. Do you think last year was the first time you ever saw it?
Last year, 2 years ago, whatever it was. But, yeah, I think it's something that was created by the Iowa Extension, or it wasn't anything that we saw.
Yeah, this is something Joni Brickell had brought to us, and then we had to bring it to the board. So this is part of FFA and being able to
So you'll see a fallout to the Decorah School Board on page 4.
We'll make a motion that we approve the Winnebago County FFA Fair Board Agreement.
Okay, Carol got the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item R is approval of the Buena Vista University agreement. And we've had other agreements similar to this, approving student teaching in case a student is interested to come to Decorah, which I think it's nice to get schools from all over the state.
I move that we approve the Buena Vista University agreement for a possible student teacher.
No second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is approval of the LMS, which stands for Learning Management System for the district. And Tim or Sean, any details that you can share with us?
What's that?
How does this compare to last year? The same?
The prices have gone up a little. We did cut out a part of this that was called Mastery Connect that we weren't utilizing to the extent that we thought. And since the state isn't providing aid financially for this anymore, we're kind of trying to figure out how we can make it a little more palatable. But it is used K-12 more in the middle school, high school than the lower grades, but the teachers use it for their PD. It's kind of the house for. This is something we use. It's priced through the state, through the ADA, so it's an ADA price that all schools funnel through, get a better price because they're buying green.
I'm sure instructors would agree that this is an essential service and piece of their learning. I've seen this especially with having 2 kids in high school.
Oh, definitely. Used a lot in high school and middle school. This is a general fund expense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not,
ESSER funds paid for the last couple of years, but it's been.
So this is probably gonna be the first year that it's a general fund purchase, unless the state decides they're gonna fund it again, but
Not likely.
I doubt it.
How, did the state fund it 100% previously?
Previously, until last year it was percentage, but over 10% to us.
And when we have this, is it the same, if we're not really using it much at the elementary level, would it be a savings to not have it be to pay for it for those schools, or is it really like that's the same cost for the whole district?
It's good points. So like if we started picking it out, they then charge you a higher rate at each center. And in the end, they'd get the same amount of money out of you, which is sad that they do it that way, but. So we buy a district license, and the state helps us buy like an EA license. That fits with the district licensing.
I just wonder with the cuts at the state level, what this is gonna mean for districts across the state and the tools that they have available for 20th century, 21st century.
Yeah.
I mean.
The Pope wanted to send to the
So, and how are we going, we, with a percentage of this moving to general fund last year, how, what other modifications do we need to make for our general fund to be able to afford it this year?
yeah. Well,
I think what you're trying to say, Cindy, is it sounds like we're being put in a rock in a hard place.
Well, we need to,
It's another unfunded mandate.
we need to, I love to agree and approve everything, but also like how do we need to make sure that we can manage our budget and. I know that, just to review, we did, pass our budget before SSA was determined. And whatever the state does not cover, we have that budget that we've approved that will impact local taxes. But to me, this AEA gap is in addition. I'm just wondering, was this included in our budget?
Like the purchase of this included in our budget, well, it's coming out of general funds, so, our budget probably wasn't that specific, just a general fund expenditure that we'll have to spend less on something else.
It is something that was in the budget last year, so it's,
At least partially, because we got paid
Yeah.
or somewhat from the state.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that we don't approve this, but I'm just,
1,630 was. what
so
did I
it's
say
roughly
last year?
half.
Yeah, the total last year was $41,401.60.
Okay, and you made modifications to our subscription for the contract this year to lower that as much as possible.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I think this is an ongoing discussion and something for us to keep our eyes on, definitely.
I'll make a motion to approve the, Canvas, contract for the 25-26 school year.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is approval of the American Institute of Architects documents for summer roof projects. Fixing the roofs.
This is just our standard contract on the roof, and if you go through, among other things, you'll see the completion date. I think I saw that as September 5th. On page 4, and what they're doing, replacing the different roofs, and as outlined in our bid and recommended by Shy Battery, and a misspelling of our board president's name.
Noted.
And I asked for, yeah, but yeah, we want to get this work going and want to get this done. Excited to continue to improve our roofs.
One thing I would note, does, substantial or final completion is September 5th, but there is a substantial completion, which is like getting all the, stuff off the roof, so, of August 15th, so,
Which is before school.
which is
Yeah.
before.
Very good point.
I'll make a motion to approve the summer roof projects.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
My only comment is that with board approval, I will wait to sign the one with the
Correct, signature.
correct spelling. Okay, that being said, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then approval of the revised 25-26 budget.
So this is,
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Document here.
yeah, so John Parker, who's done wonderful things with the Department of Management and made things much more easier and online. So we've submitted our budget, and when you can interact with the budget's online, you can interact with it. We could plug in different numbers and draw the rate down to what our desired rate. As Cindy just mentioned, we set a tax rate at $13.55 because at the time we didn't know what SSA was, and we said, what if SSA is 0? Now we know SSA is 2%, and so to draw down, we're going to put less money into management fund and cash reserve levy SBRC until our tax rate gets down to $13, 17.29 cents. That reflects 86 cents more than our tax rate this past year. And as we went through the bond process, we promised that we would only raise taxes 86 cents. So what this form, so instead of doing it ourselves, the system is now locked. The board always has the ability to lower levies and lower tax rates. So we're submitting this document to John Parker, who ironically is on vacation until tomorrow. So I couldn't even say, John, unlock it so I can go in and I'll tell you exactly what number I want to put in. So we're just saying, and number 4, I wanted to highlight both management fund and cash reserve levy, SBRC, but the system only takes one. So I emailed it to John and said, this is what our plan is. I'd already emailed him a couple times. He's very efficient on emails, and I guess he'll probably have his little Google form fixed by tomorrow. But this motion basically is saying we're gonna take equal parts out of our management fund and our cash reserve levy until we lower our overall tax rate back down to the promised $13.17.29. But it looks a lot different than all the other budgets you've ever seen because we're at a different place in the process.
Make a motion that we approve the revised 25-26 budget.
Well, second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next is the superintendent report.
We keep getting numbers for our couple and save and just adding those in. I'll try to add those in green and then put a date by them so you know what month you saw. We just had 2 numbers. The diesel gas to get that installed was gonna be $7,840, and then the replace the lunch tables at the middle school was $42,776. So those are new numbers that came in. And with my report, I would just add, we've got the last round of the design development meetings on Wednesday, so that should be exciting. I think I've got it confirmed, but I'll ask out loud. Are we all okay with moving the July meeting from the 14th to the 21st?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
at 5:30.
at 5:30.
Can I throw in another scheduling thing?
Sure.
That is not in your notes. I'm wondering if we could talk together to find a time for a special meeting for the superintendent eval that we take over from today's agenda. For either this week or next.
You have proposed dates that work best for you?
Well, the 5 p.m. time is best for me. I know that we all have different work schedules.
Well,
7's better for me, but nobody likes that.
7 p.m.
No, 5 will be fine.
Or even 3:30, knowing that our admin team is on summer hours.
3:30 is very hard.
3:30
Well,
is hard.
yeah, I was gonna say 7's not bad either.
No.
I don't want to speak for other
No,
people.
5 is fine.
7 is.
As long as you pick a day that's raining.
yeah,
Brad,
well, that's been pretty.
perfect.
Right?
The end of the week is looking great for that.
Not Monday for me at 5, but.
Well, are you gonna send out something for us to?
Yes, I can send
So
something out.
you'll need to leave some lag time to get things back and.
And I'm gone next Tuesday at Girls Association. I guess is Ron probably also be at that?
You'll be at the speech, I'll be at the association. No.
No, I've already
Yeah,
got a
you-
speech.
that's
Speech
right.
was Saturday.
What about, Wednesday the 18th or Thursday the 19th?
I have a conflict on the 18th. Not necessarily the 19th. Friday's fine with me too.
We could do
Friday at 5 o'clock.
Friday the-
I was
the
waiting
video
for
call
somebody to
energy
realize.
time.
What about lunch? I mean, how long is this, a half an hour? You think? I'm just throwing it out.
It's more than a half an hour, but
It could be
guys
hour.
bring down over lunch.
Lunch is worse than. 5 o'clock.
Not to be that person, I also concur with what just worse for me than 5.
About 5 o'clock. I'll give 5 o'clock on either Tuesday or Thursday the 12th or Thursday the 19th.
It doesn't matter to me. Thursday the 12th would be fine if that's.
I think
It's
19th,
well,
yeah, I think 19th makes more sense logistically.
Yeah, the 12th, I don't think gives us time to.
We're gonna have
Get
to
it all
publish.
assess it.
Yeah.
True.
Okay,
Generally, I
so,
think that-
5 PM on Thursday the 19th.
Um. And. Think what I'll do with my last. Superintendent note. Is recognize, Mr. Varney. For his last board meeting as elementary principal at John Klein. And it occurred to me, as I look at those blue and red cupcakes back there, that at any point in time during either the exempt session or the closed session, I could have taken them outside and you guys could have enjoyed them while you were just standing there. But these great ideas come to me later, so, but, Rick, I know it's kind of been a month of goodbyes and stuff, but
Well, yeah, it's been quite a ride, so yeah, 20 years, so thanks, to you guys, the board particularly for all the things you've done. I know some of you are just getting on in different phases, but, you guys do amazing stuff, so it's, I've enjoyed it. Not every part of it, but I've enjoyed it. So thank you, appreciate it.
and we have for you a one of a kind certificate of appreciation. Yeah, you're the first person to ever get this. For real, now everybody's gonna want one.
Now, everything. Thank you, appreciate it.
And I guess we get to have cupcakes now.
And we, are gonna, our financial report will be ready for next month.
Yes.
Kathy, I hope you enjoyed your week last week. And, we've reached the end of our agenda, so I'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you everyone for your patience tonight.